Former spoiled rotten kids, when did the real world really hit you? I was a spoiled rotten child and also into my teen years. My parents bought me a brand new red convertible for my 16th birthday. I threw a fit over it because what I actually wanted was my brother's old car, which was dark blue in color. I was so shallow and a horrible person back then. So what really turned me around? That next summer I took a job as a camp counselor at a local day camp. I did not have to work, but I was bored and sounded like something easy to do. God, I was so wrong. This day camp was specifically geared to the lower classes who could not afford childcare during the summer. We served them breakfast, lunch, and an afternoon snack. For a lot of the camp kids this was all they would eat that day, and on Fridays they would beg for extra food snacks to take home for themselves and or their siblings because they may not get to eat again until Monday. This really hit me hard, but the part that got me the most, this one kid around 5 to 6 years old would refuse to take their shoes and socks off, even if we were going to the public pool that day. I couldn't understand why until one day he came in limping, like his feet were causing him so much pain. I convinced him to let me help him get his shoes and socks so I could see what might be bothering him. Once I did, it took everything in me not to break down right there. His socks were covered in blood, his poor tiny little feet were covered in sores, and his toes seemed to curl under a bit. He was in so much pain from the state of his feet. As it turns out, he had been wearing shoes about 3 sizes too small. His family couldn't afford new shoes. I took my lunch break and went out to buy him new socks and a few pairs of shoes. This broke me. Which I definitely needed. It changed my way of thinking forever.
Today I messed up by asking my wife for a paternity test. This didn't happen today, but a few weeks ago. My wife of 4 years gave birth to our first child last year. Both my wife and I are blue-eyed and light-skinned. Our baby has a darker skin tone. Over the past 6 months his eyes turned a very dark brown. I had my doubts. My friends and family had questions. I read too many horror stories online. I asked my wife half-jokingly one day if she was sure the kiddo was mine. She stared daggers at me and said of course he is. I let it go for a while, but I still had a nagging doubt. So right after Thanksgiving I told her I wanted a paternity test to put my doubts to rest. She agreed. A few weeks ago I came home to an empty house. Wife and son gone. On the bed she left the paternity results, and a petition for divorce. Kid is 100% mine. Now I will only get to see him weekends, and I lost the most amazing woman I have ever known. Every year on Christmas Eve my parents drug us. The schedule is always the same. At 5 p.m. we eat dinner. At 6 we put on our pajamas and watch It's a Wonderful Life. Then at 8:30 mom makes us take sleeping pills and we have to go to bed because we can't be awake when Santa comes. It's bullshit. None of my friends' families do crazy shit like this. I'm 16 this year and I stopped believing in Santa years ago. So earlier tonight, when she was handing out our pills, I hid mine under my tongue and spat it out in the toilet. I pretended to be extra sleepy and went to bed. Only I wasn't tired, I was wide awake and ready to stay up to figure out what my parents do on Christmas Eve that they don't want us to know about. But now I'm curled up under my covers, gagging while chewing on 3 of those little white pills and trying to get them down. I need them to work fast. I have to get to sleep right away. My whole family is asleep and I should have been too. I don't know what the hell those red spidery things are on the Pearsons' roof, but the ones that went down to the Smith house pulled their daughter out the chimney. People aren't supposed to go up chimneys. I'll never forget the way she screamed. I'm starting to get a little drowsy, but I can hear the weird clicking sound they make on the roof. It sounds like hoofs, but those things aren't reindeer. I think they only take people that are awake. Now I know why my parents wanted us asleep.
What's the most effed up thing you've heard eavesdropping? From an open window when I was 19 I overheard my mom telling my dad she raised a loser. That still hurts years later. I was sitting in my friend's living room with the window open. We heard a few guys outside smoking, not paying attention when the convo gets louder. Bro 1, bro, do you remember that time we were named that chick? Bro 2, yeah man, balls were touching, shit was gay, I got no regrets. Then bro 1 and bro 2 share a high five. My friends and I still quote this. Not sure this qualifies, but I speak French, and when I was about 18 I was walking on the sidewalk near an outdoor pool. A bunch of teens about my age were walking on the sidewalk towards me, all in bikinis. Not wanting to be rude I passed them without checking them out or anything. Then as I passed and kept walking, I heard one say in French he didn't even look at me. Then the others consoled her and said she's cute, hot, how dare he. I feel like that experience makes even less sense now than it did then based on what society deems appropriate, but it's always in the back of my
People of Reddit, what was that yup I'm effed moment? 6 months into my marriage, my wife approached me and said she wanted to quit her job so she could focus on studying for her CPA. I said cool, I'll handle your bills in the meantime. Student loans, car payment, $30,000 dental bill she was paying off from before we met. We hadn't merged finances yet. Week later she tells me never mind, her job asked her to stay part-time while keeping her full-time salary. I couldn't believe our luck, and thought things were going well. 8 months into my marriage, I walk into my home after a normal day at work and the first thing my wife says to me is I hope I don't cheat on you. This is when I knew things were not as I assumed them to be. Spoiler alert, she was having an affair with her married coworker that she had never mentioned to me before. They confessed their love for each other during goodbyes after she turned in her notice. Then the part-time arrangement was made. He conveniently traveled to our city once or twice a month for a week and stayed in a hotel on the company's dime. You can guess the rest.